Okay, so for your next project, you're going to implement a simple little dice game called Qwixx. This is something we picked up at Target for like 10 bucks around Christmas time. Now, it's designed to be a multiplayer game. We're going to tweak the rules just a little bit so it's a single player game to keep it a little bit simpler. And the basic idea here is that you want to fill in as many of these number boxes as you can. The more boxes you cross out, the higher your score is. The trick is that once you cross out a box, you can't cross out anything to the left. So if I cross out the red 7, I can't go back later and cross out the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and so on. The other trick is every time you roll the dice, you have to fill in a number box. And if you don't or you can't, then you take a penalty. So for the purposes of this project, to keep it simple, the game is over when either you've taken 4 penalties or you've filled in your rightmost column. As a practical matter, you'll end up with the 4 penalties before you fill these 4 things in. All right, so let me show you a couple of moves. All right, so you start by rolling the dice and pulling the white dice aside and the colored dice aside. Now the first thing you do is look at the 2 white dice, and we got a 6. So if you like, you can cross off one of the 6s. Now, but you don't have to, and in this case we don't want to, because if I cross out this red 6, I can't go back later and cross out any of these 4 over here. So I'm just going to pass on the white dice, and that's fine. The next thing you'll do is pick 1 white die and 1 colored die. So for example, I could cross off a red 5 or a red 7. Not a bad move. Or I could do perhaps a green 4 or a blue 3. That would be a bad move because if I crossed out something over here, then I couldn't go back and cross out these boxes. Likewise, I wouldn't want to cross out a yellow 10. So of all of those choices, the one that makes the most sense is the red 5. It's the closest to the left. So I will cross that out, and that's my turn. Now, if I didn't want to cross out the red 5, I could instead take a penalty, but it's kind of early in the game to do that, and a red 5 is not all that bad. So let's roll again. So this time I got a 9 for the white dice. And that's kind of iffy. It wouldn't be too bad to cross one of these 2 out, but I'll pass. And so let's see what our color choices are. We could do a yellow 10 or 11, or a red 9 or 10. No, that's not very good. Or I could do a green or blue 7, or a green or blue 6. None of those are very good moves, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a penalty. And then we can roll again. And let's see, I've got a 6 of white, so I will take that here because it's right next to the 5, so there's no harm in doing that. And let's see, I have a red 4, which I can't take because I've already taken the 5. I certainly don't want to do a green 3 or a yellow 6. Oh, blue 11's a good choice because I'm only leaving 1 space that I can't come back to. Okay, so again, a 6. I don't want to cross off any of my 6s. So let's see what I can do with the color die. I got a yellow 2. Well, that's about as good as you can do because we're all the way over on the left. So we'll do that. Okay, we'll take one more turn and I think you get the idea. Okay, so we have a 7. All right, so this is a obvious take here. And then no, we can't do a red 4 or 5. A yellow 8 or 9 would leave a lot of gaps, so we don't want to do that. Green 10's not too bad, but a blue 10 would be even better. Okay. And so the game goes on like this, just rolling, crossing 1 or 2 things off per die roll until either you're stuck taking 4 penalties and then you just figure out how many boxes you've crossed off, or if you get really lucky and you manage to cross off both 2s and both 12s, then there's no point in continuing the game, so you can stop at that point. And so we're just looking to see, it's like a solitaire game, how high of a score could you get? If you're playing a multiplayer game, the rules are a little bit more complicated, and I'll explain those in person if you want to try to tackle that for some extra credit. All right, next I thought I'd show you what your project will look like when it's done. So this is the view that you'll get with your starter code, and you don't have to keep it exactly this way. You're certainly welcome to change it around a bit to suit your own taste. You just have to make sure the functionality is the same. So when you launch the program, you will see that all the dice are set to 0, all the scores are set to 0, and so on. And at the start of the game, the only thing you can do is roll. So you roll the dice, you can see the values of the dice appear here. One of your bonus features could be to change this so it actually looks like real dice. And so now, once you roll the dice, your only choice is to select a value based on the white dice or to pass. So we have a 3 here, and so that's a good roll. So I will go ahead and select the yellow 3. So notice I click on the yellow 3, that changes to an X, and now I have to choose or pass on the colored dice. Well, here I can select a yellow 4, so that's a good move. So I've selected based on the white dice, then selected based on the colored dice, so now my only choice is to roll again. So I'll roll. Here I have an 11. So same sort of thing. It makes sense to take the blue 11, and then I can also take a blue 10 and roll again. All right, now just for sake of demonstration, I have a 10. That wouldn't be a terrible move, but I'm going to pass. I don't want to leave that 11 and 12 behind, so I'll pass. You'll notice over here that now we're going to choose from the colored dice. So I can choose a yellow 5. That would be a good move. It's time to roll again. So I have a 2. Now, just to show, if I try to click the yellow 2, it'll complain, right? I can't click the yellow 2 because I've selected some values to the right. So I will click the red 2. I don't really like any of my other choices, so I will pass on the colored dice and roll again. Now I have a 2 again. I can't take either of those. I don't want to take either of those, so I'll pass the white dice. I could take a red 4. That wouldn't be a bad move. But I do want to show I passed the white dice. Let's say I decided I didn't want to take the red 4 and I passed the color dice. Notice that I have now taken a penalty because I rolled and didn't choose any numbers at all. So I'll roll again. Again, I have an 8. I don't like that. I'll pass the white dice, but I can take a red 4. Now notice as we've been going along that we've been keeping up with the scores here. So every time you check a box, the score for that color should go up. So here we have 6. So I'm going to choose the yellow 6 here, and when I choose this yellow 6, watch the yellow score should go from 6 to 10. And we have some colored dice. So yellow 7 would be a good choice for the colored dice. So if I choose the yellow 7, again the yellow will go up from 10 to 15. And then this should go on until you've either have 4 penalties or you've filled up all of your rightmost column. And your goal here in this single player solitaire game is just to see how big of a score you can get before you run out of rolls one way or another. So that's what you're looking to do. Like I said, you're welcome to use the view I prepared. You're welcome to change it up a bit, add some of your own personality or styling to it. Just make sure that the model itself follows the same rules and interface so that the automated tests work. And have fun with the project.